walking through the barley fields down at Stuart Hall on the Carse, just adjacent to Stirling Castle. You may see it in its rock in the background there. And I'm walking over towards the Bannockburn. One of the chroniclers talked about the English army having to cross the Bannockburn, into which the tide flows. Well, the tide only really gets up as far as the confluence with the Pelstream and the Bannockburn, not much further. That's the case today, as it was, I believe, back in 1314. So I want to have a look at the Bannockburn, if we can get near it, because it is, or has been, invaded by a lot of invasive species of weed. Very difficult to get down to the banking these days. But if we can get near it, I want to see just how ditch-like it is. And that mention of the tidal area of the Bannockburn, is that significant? Why would they mention it if it wasn't significant? So we're going to go and have a look at that and see if this area of the Bannockburn perhaps played any part in the battle on the 24th of June 1314. Was this an area where some of the retreating English fled and came to grief in the ditch of the Bannockburn? Let's go and have a look and find out. Well, I talked to you about invasive species down on the banks of the Bannockburn. This is incredible. It's been totally taken over. I'm not sure what these plants are in front of us here, but I've had it in good authority from the local farmer, but that they're not native to Scotland, or certainly lots of them aren't anyway. But this is going to be quite a battle getting in here to get down to the banking. Let's see how I get on. Oh, I'm beginning to think this is getting a bit too dangerous actually, because you cannot see your feet and you've no idea what you're stepping into. So I think it might be a bit more sensible to come back and put the drone up. No, it's just a bit too dangerous to try and get right up to the banking. You can't see your feet, and one wee slip off the edge could easily lead to a broken ankle. So I think retreat is the best way to go here. See if we can get a drone and get a bit closer that way. Well, you can see clearly here just how this Himalayan balsam is absolutely choking out the Bannockburn. It's quite unbelievable. Seeing it from another angle here, there's me in the banking, and you can just see how either banking right along this tidal stretch of the Bannockburn has been absolutely overgrown and choked out with this Himalayan balsam. So why have I come down to this tidal area of the Bannockburn? Well, as I previously mentioned in the video, one of the chroniclers in the Lanercost Chronicle, he says, another calamity which befell the English was that whereas they had shortly before crossed a great ditch called the Bannockburn, into which the tide flows, and now wanted to recross it in confusion, many nobles and others fell into it with their horses in the crush, while others escaped with much difficulty, and many were never able to extricate themselves from the ditch. Thus the Bannockburn was spoken about for many years in English throats. So when you come down to the tidal area of the Bannockburn, you'll find that the land around it is very favourable to cavalry. It's flat, hard, dry ground, and it would be an ideal place for the English to have set up camp and to have put their cavalry. Now that ties in with what Lanercost is saying about them crossing the ditch in confusion whilst in retreat. So it's interesting, and it's certainly food for thought, that this is an area worthy of consideration, which I will go into further in another video as we continue our quest to find the Battle of Bannockburn.